Yeah, man, it's the 11th of September, 2022. And I want to talk about artificial telepathy and some of the characteristics of it. So, what happens sometimes is people think that other people around them are saying something or that gang stalkers are following them around or something like that. And yeah, you could have gang stalkers following you around if your neural monitoring is on public. Whoever controls it puts it on public for random strangers to do the street theater stuff like that. But especially like if it's a particular person that you think is always following you and you like hear them outside or something like that, because somebody was telling me this, they're like, I can hear them outside, and I was trying to figure out how to explain this in a way, because the way that artificial telepathy disperses, and it uses like some, it doesn't have to. There's different ways that they can set it up, okay? They can just talk to you where you hear it out loud and it just them. It doesn't have to be dispersing off of anything. But in a lot of people's case, and in mine in the beginning, before they came out loud, it was a lot more about disbursement. And so I would hear people, and I knew some of them, coming through weird things like motors, refrigerator motors, air conditioners, traffic, and different things like that. And it's disbursement. And it doesn't mean that they were around me, because they weren't. They were connected to me on neural monitoring. And even though they didn't have the artificial telepathy set to be out loud where I hear it out loud, it still can be heard through water faucets and through airplanes or any other sound that's around you. So, for example, all the way back to 2013, before I was before I was aware that I was being targeted, where I had people on my neural monitoring, my devices were starting to get hacked, but I didn't have people follow me around that I knew of, and I didn't have the out loud people talking yet, which that didn't come until full time in like late 15. But it was a few isolated incidents prior to that. But one thing that would happen was every time that I would go out on my back patio, I would hear this car squeal. And I was like, wow, that's so crazy that every time I come out here, I hear this car squeal. And it took a while. And it actually, when they did come out loud, and that's when I finally realized that for those couple of years before they were out loud, those type of things were them as well. And so what it was through the woods over on the main road, past the other neighborhood, there's this bridge, okay? And bridges have those little rumples where you ride over and it's like, right? You know what I'm talking about when your tires hit those rumbles. Just like if you get too far out of a lane and it's like, they make those rumbles, okay? And it's, I guess maybe there's, with the bridge, there's a structural reason or possibly to alert you, just like when you're going out of the lane, those rumbles, to like wake you up if you fell asleep or something like that. So what was happening was every time a car would go over that bridge, those rumble, and like late at night is when they would have that. Maybe they had it on all the time. It's like a setting, but I would hear it late at night because there's no other noise around. So, you know, over through the woods when a car would go over this bridge, and then they had a program. They had it programmed to where it would be a car squeal, and it was dispersing. The artificial telepathy was dispersing. That signal was dispersing off of that real sound. And so it made me believe that there was a car squealing through the woods, and on the main road for like 2 or 3 years until I figured it out, because I was out there one day and they did it, and I was like, wow. Now I know that's been them the whole time. And a lot of things come together like that as you progress years in, the more you find out. And when you find out something, then they don't have to hide it anymore. So then they just do it to be facetious or just to kind of be like, throwing it in your face that we can do whatever we want. We've been doing that, ha ha. Like before I knew that they knew what I was thinking, and I wasn't aware of that yet. And for the first, like when they came out loud for the first few months, they maybe even like the first year, they were able to hide that fact, maybe 6 months. And then you come to that realization that, oh my God, they know what I'm thinking. And they're receiving that into their mind. So they know what I'm thinking. And once you know that, then they don't try to hide it anymore. Then you think something and they say it out loud, or they'll reply to you just to throw it in your face, I guess, for their live stream. Yeah, we know what you're thinking. And it's supposed to have some sort of psychological effect on you to cause you to get angry or to freak you out. And it does. It unfortunately is something that you get used to, and you care less and less and less because this thing seems to drag on, and these guys on mind control will be that obsessed and addicted to mind control and being connected to you that they'll just stay every day for years and years and years and years, many years. And for me, it's been almost a decade total between the starting to hack my stuff and having artificial telepathy disperse off of other sounds, where it's like, it's to throw you off. One day I was walking past somebody's house years ago, and there was a little girl on a swing set, right? And she like screamed F you or something like that at me. But really, she was just screaming something else. Like, it wasn't this little 5-year-old cussing me out. It wasn't, and I knew that then because I already had gang stalkers talking out loud, and I was starting to understand the way that it disperses. And so somebody on my channel either had that programmed or was saying it then, and it dispersed off of this little girl's scream, whatever, like while she was playing on the swing set. And it sounded like, she screamed something at me, but that didn't really happen. And that's how confusing it can be. You're on the train or you're at work or something, and somebody's talking and you hear it, but you don't hear it. It's like hijacked. The real sound is hijacked by this artificial telepathic signal, this broadcast. It's not even, it's kind of telepathic because I guess, because it's going from, to people's mind through neurological broadcast frequencies. So it is telepathy, but it's electronically broadcast assisted telepathy. So they call it artificial telepathy. A lot of people call it V2K. But somebody says something to you and they're a little ways away from you, and you don't see them exactly, their mouth moving to say it, and it can sound like they're saying something completely different because of the way that artificial telepathy works. So it could get very confusing, and it can make you believe that people, particular people, are around you or outside the window or something like that when they're not. And so artificial telepathy is if you don't have control of it, and you don't have, like all these gang stalkers, they have their neural monitoring. They set it up. If they're connected to you, they've went on to neural monitoring online, whether it's a program or a website, okay, but they've went on to an interface and controlled settings and decided to make a connection between their neurological broadcast frequency and yours. And now they're on your frequency and they're talking to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't have control over your neural monitoring, then they can use it to cause havoc in your life. And it can be very confusing, and it changes you. It changes you a lot over time, because you realize when they trick you, and you believe this or that or some wild thing that you've thought of. And another thing, when you think of something, okay, for example, like say if I thought that the FBI was gang stalking me, all right, they know that because they know what I think. My gang stalkers wouldn't know that. You know what happens next, right? My gang stalkers start pretending to be the FBI. Why? Because that's what I think. And what's going to happen then? I'm going to believe it because I already thought that anyway. And it's very easy to buy into your own belief. Like, yeah, I know for a fact. Like, people get so mad telling me it's this and that. And You know, and I don't even talk to a lot of people anymore as much. I mean, I'm reachable, but I'm very busy. But so many people got it in their own mind what they think it is anyway. And if, you know, if you're so set that it's the FBI, then gang stalkers are going to know that, so they're going to pretend to be the FBI. And now you've given them that. You've bought into your own belief and given them a perfect storm to rain hell on your life. And so it's just it could be a very confusing thing. You really can't buy into the things that they say or the things that they do, and that they have every advantage. They've been on neural monitoring and made these connections, and you can't disconnect or do anything about it without getting neural monitoring access. And it's not just isolated to a few people. Millions and millions of people have neural monitoring, and they're going to try to stop you from getting it because you've been targeted, and they don't want you to get it now. And they like to own your frequency. They like to have control over your broadcast frequency, your neurological broadcast frequency, so they can hold you captive and know what you think and do stuff to you and hold you like a slave. Somebody's like, it's not slavery. Tell me how it's not. Captive. Captive in this form of slavery where these idiots want to do live streams of my life and know what I'm thinking and be connected to me because they like my mind and they like to make money from the live streams they put out, and they use it like an asset. So they're basically forcing me without consent to be a part of their business based on me. So that's what's going on. I hope you can understand artificial telepathy a little bit better. You could try something real quick. I'll say this. I used to do a lot of experiments trying to figure out how to record stuff. So, and the thing is, like, okay, that car squeal that I was talking about, where it's just a car going over the rumbles on the bridge and there's an artificial telepathy disbursement causing the car squeal. I'm going to hear that car squeal, okay? I don't think other people are going to hear that car squeal, okay? Maybe they can because it's such a powerful broadcast. Maybe it's on a broader frequency, but if somebody talks to me with artificial telepathy, broadcast telepathy on my neurological broadcast frequency where they've connected to me on neural monitoring, they're going to hear it, I'm going to hear it, and whoever else is on my channel is going to hear it. And if you're not connected to my neurological frequency on over broadcast, then you're not going to hear it. It's like my cell phone doesn't hear your cell phone because they're on different frequencies. And even though you know it's flying through the air, but my cell phone receives it and then it can hear it. Okay, but your cell phone can't receive my cell phone's call. And you can't hear a signal flying through the air. So it's one of those things. Like, how do you prove that? I used to do a lot of experiments and try to figure out ways to record it and stuff like that. And one thing that I used to do was, and it's a weird thing, okay, and I called it telepathic scratch. And so I would call myself, and I had one of those call apps on my iPad. So I would call my iPad, and then I would put them on speaker, and then I would sit there and scratch the speaker on my phone. And through my iPad, it was coming out like, and through all that stuff, I could hear them talking so good. And it was the disbursement. Just a little weird experiment to do. But anyway, I hope you understand it a little better. It's still pretty bad. I woke up this morning with my gang stalker alarm clock. Gang stalkers all over my face, begging for my attention. But that's what's going on. Thank you guys for watching. You'll see me on the next one.